What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. 2025 ABJ Podcast, our second interview of the year. Just coming off that interview with Mike Skyros for 2025, also leaning into the brand new season 3 of the ABJ Podcast. Huge thanks to, before we get everything started, to our two sponsors, our two highlights of the podcast, the HTW Network. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, supporting the brand. We're on the website. They put us everywhere. I really, really appreciate that. So huge thank you to them, as well as Ruda Entertainment. So check out Ruda, both of them on all social media. Ruda Entertainment is I'm the proud owner of a Ruda Entertainment, two Ruda Entertainment titles, the TWF Intercontinental Championship, YouTube Intercontinental Championship, and somewhere back here is my Tornado Tag Championship. So if you need your belts made, hit up Ruda Entertainment and get all your titles made. And if you want to check out some amazing professional wrestling, check out HTW Network with a bunch of great channels and a great bunch of promotions under that conglomeration. Also, starting the season 3, once again, we got new logo. So we added that third color splash to the logo. Yes, I'm a Commanders fan, and too many people were like, that black and gold, are you a Steelers guy? I go, unfortunately not. I am a Commanders guy. But with this third little color scheme, we can do some fun things with that color scheme and add 3 color variants to this logo, as well as the brand new ABJ logo. So that is available. T-shirts, everything's available in the links below. Follow us on all social media, as well as if you want merchandise or anything, the links are below. TeePublic will have a ton. I think there's 260 logos on there. So there's a lot of variations of stuff you can get. And then there are going to be a limited run stuff over on Teespring. So always be on the look for that. Probably every month, we're going to have a different variant logo that you can get. There'll probably be 1 or 2 things that'll stay on there all the time, but there's going to be stuff that's going to be limited runs. So if you want to get it before it's gone, head over to Teespring and grab that. Everything to support the podcast is super, super helpful. If you're listening on the audio side of things, screenshot this and put it on social media. Let people know what you're listening to, because word of mouth is how we're going to get this going. My goal for 2025, once again, we're trying to hit 10K on YouTube. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy, but I think with enough people showing that support and hearing these stories and giving people a platform, the bigger we get this platform, the bigger we grow this channel, the more people like our guest will get more exposure, and they can grow as well and chase their dreams and make their job a little easier on getting out there and being seen. Also, we're trying to hit our subscriber goal. So if you're watching this and you're like, man, I wish you can see them earlier, you can. We do a paid membership, and all paid members at the $5 tier will get all the content before everybody else. So I'm recording a whole bunch of stuff, and there's interviews and 5 questions and a bunch of cool stuff that you get before everyone else, before it drops. So make sure you subscribe over to that channel on the YouTube side and get that membership. That's pretty much all I got. That's my internet can shaking right there, trying to grow and make a couple bucks here on this journey. Everything helps. I appreciate all the support for the last 3 seasons of this podcast, and we'll have some fun going into season 3. And guest number 2 here is going to be someone who's very, very new to the scene, comes out of Catch Point Wrestling in Philadelphia, which is an amazing school, and they're always super supportive. Very thankful to them, always sharing. And every time I interview one of their students, they're very cool about sharing the clips and putting it on their social media, which is super, super dope. Still got to get out there and see the school and come hang out. But let's bring in our guest today. I'll let them introduce themselves, and we'll have some fun. What's going on?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Good. Introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are and what you do.
My name is Rullo, and I guess I wrestle. And that's that's what I'm here for. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rullo. I think I said Rulio, because I always say like Rolos. I don't know why. I don't know. It's weird. But
No, yeah, a lot of people like mess it up, and it's like on me to like tell them like the biggest match I've had in front of like 2,000 people or whatever. The guy said Rulio, and I was like, damn, that's my lesson to like tell re-announcers.
Was it me?
No, it was like that suplex show, and I was just like,
yeah, that was me.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh man.
Yeah, I was on commentary for Suplex. Yep, I called you Rulio. Totally did.
Yeah, that's on me. I should have told you how to say it.
Yeah. That was a crazy day. I was literally on 0 food, and I think the only thing I had in my system that day was the 45 C4 energy drinks that we got for free that day. I was hopped up that day.
yeah, that was a crazy day. That was like a day where I woke up and I just like drove over there thinking like, oh, just a battle royal, whatever. And then like one, I found it was a rumble. But 2, it's like it didn't like the whole day. It didn't hit me until right before I walked out. Like, oh shit! Like this is like my 8th like match or 9th match or whatever it was, and it's about to be like, in front of like 2,000 or whatever it was people. And
I didn't realize how packed it got. Like I got there super early. I was upstairs and I was kind of hanging out and I was talking to like Vice TV and stuff. And then I walked out to the street and I was like, oh my God. Like that's the most I ever worked for too. I was blown away. I had people grabbing me from the rail, like pulling me because I was like trashing Philly and stuff. Like it was unbelievable. There may be some stuff coming up very soon with Suplex, so definitely make sure you follow Suplex for some upcoming events. But yeah, that Battle Royal was a lot of fun. They essentially named it the Catch Point Battle Royal. It was a catch point deal.
Was it? I mean, I know there was catch point people in it. I don't. There was people all over. I don't know. I think there was a guy from like Dragon Gate in there maybe or somewhere.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool people in there.
Yeah, it was cool.
I remember, speaking of catch point and throwing a little love to your school, I remember doing commentary and I remember just like during the Battle Royal and I was enjoying myself and I looked to like the entrance rail because like they would leave a section open so people can come out of the store in and out and they can also still like the wrestlers and the workers themselves would use it, and Wheeler's just standing there right behind me as I'm doing commentary watching, and I was just like, that's cool. There's AEW Blackpool Combat Club, Wheeler Yuta just hanging out watching.
We were chatting with him like before. Yeah, he was just there. He was just hanging out. Yeah.
He was just supporting. Yeah, just being cool.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah, huge fan of that dude. I love everyone's hating on the new Death Riders gimmick, but I like it.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. Don't believe what you see on TV.
I actually got to. I was one of his big matches before he got signed. It was him and Daniel Garcia at IWTV 100 in H2O, and they wrestled an hour. I don't know if you ever wrestled at H2O yet, but if you wrestle there in the summer, just know you're going to be working in one of the 7th layers of hell because it's the hottest building in the world.
Oh, yeah, I haven't wrestled there, but I've been there a few times, and it's like it's clean. Yeah.
I don't know how they didn't die. Like I thought that I almost passed out watching the match. It was that hot. It was out of control. But well, let's get into this. Tell us about yourself and what do you do?
Well, like I said, I'm a pro wrestler. Been working shows, I guess, for about a year now. And that's kind of, I don't know, what I've like devoted my life to at this point for the past, like, I don't know, like I said, year and a half or so. Mm-hmm. And that's just, what I spend most of my time doing is thinking about wrestling, going to training, and I don't know, man. That's just like I'm obsessed, I guess.
Yeah, I like it. So first time I seen you at the Battle Royal, but I mean you stood out, but I mean it's a big day. It was a lot. WrestleMania weekend. It's tough to really grasp onto somebody. But then I seen you start coming to you came up to New Era, and I got to see you there, and I remember looking at you, I was like, there's something you have a good look to you. You got those baby blue eyes. You got that old. I'm an emo guy, so you got that Fallout Boy, and then you went into gimmick and came out with the guy liner on and the full emo. I was like, oh, there's something here. We can do something here with this. This is exciting. So like even in your first year, I think you have a good look to you, and then you're very high flying. You're very like luchador-ish style wrestling. I don't know if that's what you're going for, but there's a lot like you're flippy. You have a lot of cool stuff. There's a technicality in there. So I'm excited to see where you grow. But with your first year and from what I've seen so far, like there's a lot of potential here.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I mean, like I can only credit that to like, people that have trained me and put me in like and gotten me ready for the opportunities and positions I've been in, from Drew Gulak to Tracy Williams and Wheeler Yuta and all those people that are just like, I'm nothing without the training that I've got, and I mean, yeah, and the high flying is definitely there. I remember when I first started training in catch plate, when I knew like absolutely nothing at this point. And I think it was like this was like my 3rd or 4th day there. And this was like after training, it was just like me there. And like, I think Ben the Bean, it was just me and him. And I was like, Drew was outside doing whatever. And I was just like messing around. I just did a backflip just standing because I can just do it. And at this point I was trying to be like a scrappy technical guy or whatever. And then Drew saw it. He was like, what was that? He's like, do that again. And I did a backflip. And he was like, okay, that's like, do that more. And ever since then, he's been like pushing me to like all the high flying abilities I have kind of are credited to him. Like, I mean, I was like born with some athleticism and a trampoline in my backyard, but in putting it in an actual ring and having the confidence to like just do it in wrestling, he kind of taught me a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that guy comes from a pretty good luchador background school as well with the technicality. So there's a lot of that hybrid style you're going to get from that catch point. Drew can teach you how to stretch. I mean, he was the tutorial for a video game on how to wrestle in the video game, right? Yeah. Like the guy knows what he's doing. But also you have a lot of great people there too who can teach you a lot of that stuff. But what made you fall in love with professional wrestling?
So I know, like, I remember I must have been really young, probably like however old you are in like the first grade or kindergarten or something like that. And my cousin, it was like his birthday, and he came home with like a SmackDown versus Raw game. I believe it was 2010. And he was like, "Oh, this is like a wrestling game. This is a WWE game, and we're playing it." And I'm like, "Oh, this is cool. Like, it was fun." And I was like, "If this was like in real life, that'd be awesome." And he was like, "Oh, it is." And I didn't know what, I didn't even understand what pro wrestling was. Like, it didn't exist in my head at the time. And I started watching it, and I was pretty much hooked.
Yeah.
From ever since I was a kid, that's like the one you fall in and out of things when you get
Mm-hmm.
older, and that's like the one thing I've always just for whatever reason just like I like it.
So who in the video game who grabbed your attention first? What character?
Oh, Mark Henry.
Mark Henry.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it was like just like my cousins always picked like the I don't know, like the high flyers, and like I didn't know anything about wrestling, right? I didn't know who wrestlers were, so I was like, oh, that guy looks like the strongest. He probably is the best.
Yeah.
So I always picked him when I was playing when I was younger.
To just smash people with Mark Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know people wouldn't, but like that's not the answer anyone would think I would give, but yeah, he was like the first guy I liked playing as.
So then watching the product, did Mark Henry still stand as your favorite guy?
Well, no, because I was a little Mark and I didn't like the bad guys. And I think I was watching, he was like the Hall of Pain, and he was hurting all my heroes, so I didn't like him.
So he's like, oh, all right, this guy's out. This guy's out for me.
Yeah.
So started watching around was it 2010 is when you started like physically watching and
yeah,
really
like late 2010, early 2011, which like you could argue was just like objectively not a good time to watch TV, but when you're a dumb little kid, you don't know any better. So yeah.
Now, how old are you currently?
I'm 21.
21. Now,
Yeah.
do you go back and study previous eras of wrestling and different companies and stuff like that?
Yeah, like all the time. Like all I do is watch. I watch a lot of like older like mid 2000s like Dragon Gate a lot because it's like the style I want to wrestle. But a lot of like older like Japanese stuff, and like recently like I'll just put on like random like old like NWA or Mid South or whatever, you know.
Okay, so guys from the past, who are some that you're kind of looking at and looking at for inspiration?
I watch a lot of like I said Dragon Gate, a lot of like Japanese stuff. I like Masato Yoshino is a guy I watch. He's very quick. I like Dragon Kid. Hiromu Takahashi is a guy I always like. When I started getting into like New Japan and stuff, he was a guy I like to watch. Kushida as well. And more of like American wrestling. Like I love like Eddie Kingston. Watching him, I want to wrestle him a lot. Yeah, he's great.
He's the GOAT. I love Eddie, so I can't wait for him to come back. I've been really diving into old like the older ROH. I've been kind of going back to the ROH libraries. I hope it comes to HBO Max soon, so I don't have to pay extra. But also like I still go back and watch like the Chikara days. Like I like that era, like guys like Kingston and Claudio, like everyone who started, and like I like all wrestling, but I prefer AEW over WWE. That's just who I am. It's a different outlet.
Me too.
It fits me better, and people who I've watched in this local area and who I've studied are now on TV there, and it's kind of like that next step for me. Of watching, so I like to go back and rewatch like the independent stuff from that era and see them progress from the indie scene to like watching Kevin Owens and ROH and seeing him progress and like turn into an adult is wild to me. Like him, Adam Cole, and all those guys. Like it's I don't know. That's why I really enjoy that. So what type of kid were you growing up? You said you were athletic and stuff. Were you into sports? Were you a theater kid? Like where did you fall in?
I don't know. I didn't play. I mean, I played baseball, but I wasn't like. I don't know. I wish I'd gotten into gymnastics, but I just didn't for whatever reason. I guess like when you're a little boy, you're like, oh, that's like for girls or whatever, and you just don't do it. But I should.
You get that male toxicity.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I was just like watching like wrestling all the time. I played games. I was kind of just like a dumb little nerd. I mean, I went outside with my friends and all that, but like wrestling was a big influence on me. Like playing, like I loved like games and things too. I was big into like. I don't know, like growing up in the I guess the time frame that I was, the internet was like, you know, big. So I was watching YouTube and stuff all the time. So I don't know, just like a lot of internet shit and like wrestling and, you know, stuff like that.
That's smart. I mean, a lot of that internet stuff works to get over on the wrestling scene. I mean, there's people out there just doing the boom thing over and over and over again. I don't get it, but it's
like the Big Boom AJ. Like
I don't.
Yeah, those guys. I loved his match. I thought he was very.
I thought the match was fine, but I think the content they make, it's not for me.
I don't think it's for anyone. I think it's just like, I don't know.
It makes sense. He's a worker. It makes total sense. He's a worker. Yeah. So when did you start to pursue your industry, and how did you get involved with it, and even finding your school?
So when I was 18, I found this place like near my house that I don't know, some like guy who, I'm not gonna like name names, but some guy who like was on Heat one time or something, had a school where he like ran in his backyard, and like it was me, 18 years old, and a bunch of like mid-40s men setting up a ring every Sunday and just like rolling around or whatever. At the time I thought it was good training, but it really wasn't. I mean, you know, no offense to these guys, but nobody really knew what they were doing. I didn't know what I was doing. And like, I mean, I learned some of the basics, but I don't know. It wasn't, I didn't learn what I needed to learn there. And I did that for like probably 6 or 7 months. And then like, I didn't fall out of wrestling. I was still watching it all the time, but I had, I don't know, life stuff going on. So it just didn't work out for a little bit. And then around, I guess, what was it? I guess it'd be like late 2023. I was just, the lease of my apartment was just ending. And I was scrolling Twitter and I saw a thing that said like train with Wheeler Yuta in Philadelphia, whatever. And like, I'd been wanting to get back in the ring, but like in the area that I was in, there wasn't really like, I don't know, just a lot of great places. And I just wasn't, I didn't have the confidence at the time or the time to do that. But I saw that and I was like, let me like give it a go because I want to start wrestling again. Went there, got blown up instantly, threw up. It was horrible. But that, you know, I was like, okay, here's a place I can go if I really want to like start doing this again. And that was it. I moved back home so I could pursue wrestling after that. And the rest is like history, I guess. Just been going to Catch Point mostly every week ever since, you know.
So I'm not bashing anywhere you were before or anything like that, but going from the guy who once wrestled on TV one day that has everybody else impressed for his one TV appearance, running a school. Trust me, I'm not making fun of that guy, but there's a lot of wrestling schools that are that
Yeah.
like, hey, I got squashed on TV one time. Come in, I'll make you a wrestler, kid.
Yeah.
Going from a place like that and then showing up at a place where, you know, it's, you got your hot sauces, your wheelers, your I mean, there's so many people there. There's so many good people just involved in that school. What is the difference between a school like that? Like, what makes Catch Point stand out?
I mean, well, people actually know what they're talking about. That's a big one. Like, I don't want to bash anyone, but like, it's
no.
Like, I go to one place and go to the other. It's night and day. You know what I mean? Like, now that I like have a somewhat basic understanding of like the fundamentals of wrestling, I can say that, oh, these guys didn't teach me, you know, basic like chain or like whatever. You know, like I can say that now. So I don't know. It's much more like professional and like, you know, they work with more like individually. The training's better. It's more like in depth. You know what I mean? We'll go on like really learn like certain techniques like really in depth. So you actually understand why you're doing it and like how to do it. You know, it's a place where there aren't really any like dumb questions. You know, there's no toxicity. It's a very healthy environment to really just like help people, you know.
I think what turns a lot of people off from trying to get into the business is that old school mentality of, and maybe you don't even know about the old school mentality because you're a little younger, 21, but it used to be the thing where like, oh, you're going to join this thing. All right, well, we're going to try to break you and we're going to do everything we can to make you hate this. And if you stick through it, then you're going to be one of the few. Or you have those people who are like, oh, I'm just going to take your money and I don't really care about your future. And as long as I keep making you a student, I'll keep getting cash off you. And then you have a place like this where you just look at these guys and they're starting their school and they genuinely want to improve the business. They want to bring the next group up. They want to keep this industry alive. And that's where your Catch Points and your Worldwide Dojo stand out amongst a lot of other schools because their genuine goal is get this next crop to where we need to be. You know what I mean? And I genuinely love that. And I love watching the kid coming to a school. And once again, sometimes you look at somebody, you're like, this person, how are they going to become a professional wrestler? Like they're corny looking. They have no confidence. Like, what are they going to do with this person? And then you watch them in 3 or 4 years and they turn into these gems. And you're like, wow, like something clips in them and they're just like, they emerge. A great example of that. Now I knew them before they were a wrestler when they were just a theater kid at Bloomsburg, but JS Hawthorne, I don't know if you're aware of him or but chubbier. He had like his hair was crazy. He had like just a big regular beard and he started training and he started going and he started working. And then one day he became JS Hawthorne. And I was like, Oh, he's the greatest thing I've ever seen in professional wrestling. Like that transformation, just like you just watch that evolution. And that's what happens in a good school, or people who have that drive to be in this industry.
Yeah,
they change in front of your face.
Yeah, the people that train me, like they see things in people, and like the people that train me, they take the time, and like they see things in me, and they work with me individually and say, hey man, like this move could really work for you, or like I think like given like your size, like this makes more sense for you. It's really like they'll really work with you individually. If you're willing to put the time into wrestling and show that you're serious, then they'll put the time into you as well.
Absolutely. Now, how did you land the name and the look and what the character is?
Well, for the name, it's just my last name. I was like, for a while, I wasn't sure what name I wanted to use, but I figured like my last name is like unique enough to where like it's not really like common in general. And given like it was my father's last name, and he passed when I was like 16 or so, and I wanted to like kind of carry on his legacy. So that's why typically when I have the name in wrestling, it's in all caps, not because like I'm a mark and I like Kenta. Well, I do like Kenta, but that's not why. Yeah. It's because it's like I want the full emphasis on it. You know what I mean? So that's like why it's in all caps. It's very important to me. And as for the character, when I started wrestling, I know I wanted to have a very like, I was kind of inspired by like Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. I want to have like a very like kind of like emotional kid, who like maybe like sometimes like doubts himself, but like just like the underdog baby face fights from underneath or whatever. And I was like, I liked the idea of the character, but I didn't have like an aesthetic to back it up.
Yeah,
and I figured like maybe like a lot of those same traits apply to like like emo people, and I don't know. I figured like that's an aesthetic that maybe like it has some history in wrestling, with guys like Jimmy Jacobs and like Raven to an extent. And I was like, I like the aesthetic. I'll see what twist I can put on it. It works with like the traits I'm trying to apply to my character, So why not?
And marks love face paint or eye makeup. Just rock it. They'll eat it up. Like Darby, if Darby didn't paint his face, I don't know if we would know who Darby is. You know what I mean? Like I think the face paint really sets him off with a lot of the younger fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, as an older emo, I like the look. It's cool.
Yeah. I try to like the cool thing about the gimmick is that I can actually like get a lot of my gear from Hot Topic. Like I'm not joking. Like before like a lot of matches, I go to Hot Topic and I'll buy like the nail polish, and I'll get like I have these like arm like fishnet things I wear when I wrestle. I wear chains and stuff. So like a lot of the gear I can just get at Hot Topic at the mall. So it's like great for that.
Yeah. I love it. It's cool. It's I can't wait to see you keep evolving it, because you could still tell you're at that beginning stage where you're trying to find it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's fun to watch the younger talent kind of like they just fall into like a puzzle piece. You know what I mean? The whole time you're trying to find out where it goes, and you just slides in. You're like, oh, okay, here we go. It's fun. That's like my favorite stuff. But in the beginning stages, kind of like what we just talked about, finding yourself, what has that journey been like? Or is it something like, obviously you're still going through it? What has that stage has been like in this part of your career?
It's definitely like still going through it. I'm still learning how I want to I like the idea of my character, but I'm still learning how to apply it in a wrestling context. A lot of that is just like watching wrestling and like maybe taking inspiration from other people. I think my character in and of itself is great for like, I like how it can work great for a face or a heel. I traditionally work face more often. So I try to take these emo qualities. I'm like, okay, how can I portray that through my selling? How can I portray that when I'm like actually firing up? So like maybe like, a lot of times when I'm selling, I'll I'll punch myself and I'll get angry, whatever. Cause like in my head, I'm like thinking of all these, like, I'm thinking emo would like think of all these people that have doubted him or whatever else. So I try to think of like these things, how I can apply them, like I said, in like a wrestling context, So that's kind of how I'm like going about it now. And I also like, I don't know, like I watch a lot of like maybe like movies or shows about people like loner dudes. And, I take ideas for that for like promos and things like that.
Yeah.
Like their work. Yeah.
study the music too, and like the people who like emo music and incorporate that, because like a lot of emo music was like people who had their heart broke, or just young adolescent kids who didn't know how to control their emotions, so they're punching holes in walls. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely,
like maybe biting off more they can chew because they think they gas themselves up too much. You know what I mean? Like, and just kind of finding yourself. You know,
that's where I got ideas for like promos too. Is listen to like, I mean, I do genuinely listen to like Midwest emo music. Like I just do.
Oh,
so
the
like
Midwest
that's
stuff is tough for me.
it's great. Yeah.
I just interviewed Eddie Reyes, like the original guitarist from Taking Back Sunday.
Oh, that's sick. Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, I love him. Cool. He's awesome. He's a huge wrestling fan too.
Really? Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's supposedly moving to PA soon, so he wants me to bring in a wrestling show. So I'll definitely do that. Could you imagine him going to GCW emo night and like hearing Taking Back Sunday? Like, I'd be like, that'd be crazy. Awesome. What were some setbacks or adversities you had to overcome so far in your career, or some maybe things that just are holding you back in general?
There was like a month or like a month and a half where I just kept getting these like little nagging injuries over and over and over. That was really annoying. It's really like it was like my left knee that kept getting hurt, which is like, I'm actually today after this, I'm going back to training for the first time in 2 weeks because I hurt it again, like an idiot. But like I kept getting like, I worked a match at Kaiju, which if a lot of people don't know, it's this place where like you dress up in these big like monster costumes and you wrestle, whatever. And I was
you wrestle in a ring with cardboard cities, and essentially you're two monsters like a Godzilla movie, and it's the greatest. I love it so much.
Yeah, it was fun. It was so much fun. The crowd was awesome. But I wrestled as a banana, and I hurt my ankle because I did like a dive to the floor, and it was like a really bad sprain. I couldn't just one of those things where just bedridden for 2 weeks and you can't do anything. It kind of sucks.
You were able to finish the match?
Oh, I finished it, yeah. Because you have adrenaline, you don't feel it. You know? And like I didn't feel anything. But then like once the show was over and I'm like walking to the car, I'm limping, and I can and by the time I get home I can barely like walk at all. It's like, oh yeah, that's not good.
That's why I always ask people before they leave, like, you good? You fine?
Yeah.
The adrenaline wore off? Are you fine? You're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I just like had a few like little like knee injuries before that, but specifically my left knee, like doing like moonsaults, weirdly enough, that's like my thing. Nothing that like set me back crazy, but it was like these little just things like all happening at once that I don't know, like stuff like that can hurt your confidence, you know, but I don't know, when you like wrestling a lot, you just kind of just keep doing it anyway, I guess.
Now, when it comes to Catch Point, and this is a question just because I've been following a lot of the younger talent at that place, and one name I'm going to put over really heavy, and I kind of did during the our 2024 Indie Awards for our TT Awards, is how much of it is the school is just wrestling aspect, or is there like the gym and the weight gain, like the weightlifting aspect, is that all part of it as well, or is that something they're like, hey, you should definitely incorporate lifting and working out as well as not just your wrestling aspect?
Oh yeah, they influence it a lot. I mean, specifically we have like Andy Summer we work with. He's like a personal trainer who you can get hooked up with. He does like a discount for wrestlers at Catch Point. We do have like weights and things, so like it's very heavily encouraged. You know, we have like a Discord server. We have like a whole section just for like fitness and like nutrition.
That's sick.
So like, yeah, it's very like, you know, not slept on at all. No,
that's the one thing I will say with Catch Point kids. I've seen a lot of them go into Catch Point. They were very early. They did some matches and they've turned in just a year's time from Mania till now. Like Tom LaRosa put muscle on, looks great. Zenith, I mean, she's been a little muscle ball her whole career. Like Houdini, great body, look, great thing. You yourself are like, you're defined, you're cut up, but the more you put on, it'll help those bumps and those little nagging injuries because your body's going through car accidents. You need a little muscle to like help you through it. But it's good to hear, like, you can see it in the school of people coming in smaller, undersized, and then putting that weight training in, and it shows. It shows from the kids that come through that program.
Yeah, I think when I started at Catch Point, I was like 135, and now I'm like 155.
Yeah.
So it's like something that's just like, I don't know, a necessity. You know, I remember like seeing my first match, and I just looked I was like pale. I mean, I'm still, I don't know, whatever.
No, don't get a tan. That's good. You'll ruin the gimmick. Yeah. Stay out of the sun.
Yeah. Just like, I was like, you know, pale. I was like very skinny. I didn't have like much of a look to me. I don't know, just started going to the gym very consistently, and like, you know, I think when it comes to like going to the gym and like getting in shape for, especially for wrestling, it's very much just it's like the hard part about going to the gym is going to the gym, you know, it's like getting up and like actually going. Once you're there, it's like, I'm motivated. Let's do it. It's like it's like getting up and like going. It's like when you go to work. It's like, let's get up and go. Once you're there, it's like, all right, like we'll just get it over with.
Just get the check. Yeah. Now this question is a little tougher because it's obviously in the general part of your career at, but I feel like this question also people look at people's grind or when they're chasing their dreams or putting their effort into an industry, they think it's like just a roller coaster. You hit your peak and then you're good, right? But everything is a peak and a valley, peak and a valley. You hit a spot, then you fall, then you hit a spot, then you fall, then you hit a spot and you fall, and that's the real life timeline of chasing your dreams and going and pursuing your craft. Have you felt like you hit any peaks at any point in your career, or what are some things that for you were peaks and valleys for you as in your time in this?
I mean, I don't know if I hit I would say I hit any peaks yet. I mean, I've definitely had moments where like high moments for sure. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I would say I don't think I've hit any peaks just because I don't know. I feel like, there's so much, I mean, considering how young I am, like you said, there's so much room to grow. And I've I don't know, given the, how talented and wise my trainers are, it's I know they can pull so much more out of me than what they already have.
Yeah. Do you have any key moments or accomplishments you have done at this point so far? I know you talked a little bit about suplex. That was for both of us, even though I butchered your name, I apologize. But that shows like that, or even matches against people where you felt like it just gelled really well and you feel really accomplished about it.
I know my second match ever, I got to go to Carolina and wrestle in front of Steve Carino, and nice. Have him call my match and pull me aside after and give me genuine feedback. I feel like a lot of people can't really say that. That was my mm-hmm. second match, and I was so petrified before I did it, but. Yeah, to wrestle in front of someone like that who's a legend so early and get actual feedback was really cool. I recently had a singles match at Super Crazies that I was proud of. I think it could be better, but I thought.
Who'd you work?
I worked on Tim Dynamite.
Okay.
For the U.S. title, and it was fun. That was a few months ago. That was I think so far the longest singles match I've had. I think we went 13 or 14, something like that. So it was cool to be able to do that.
Yeah. Are you still in that spot where you're putting a lot of multi-mans or rumbles? Are you still at that little spot?
I think I've done recently. It's been a lot of multi-mans, and I've done a lot of 4-ways recently. I think the past 6 matches I've had 4 of them or 5 of them in 4-ways.
Yeah, that's essentially companies feeling you out and see where you stick. All right, let's see how they work in a multi-man, and then we'll put them in a singles.
I'm getting pretty good at multi-mans, man. I'm getting pretty good calling them. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of those recently. I recently did an 8-man tag up in Watertown, New York at Excite Wrestling. That was probably the second biggest crowd I've done. I think it was a couple hundred people. So that was cool.
Where are you based out of? Are you based out of Philly?
I mean, I live in Delaware, but I would say I'm based out of Philly. That's kind of
where your school is. So you drive from Delaware to Philly to go to your wrestling school.
Yeah, it's about an hour drive. Yeah.
Interesting. That's right there alone is a really good testament to you. Another guy interviewed back in the day that I think a lot of people should look into in this industry, just the way he conducts himself and the way he carries himself. Leo Sparrow. That kid used to drive his bike, take his bike on a train, then get off the train with his bike, then ride another hour or 2 on his bike just to get to Catch Point to chase his dream. And the kid's doing so well. That work ethic is good. So the fact that you're traveling across state lines to go to your school, and then you've already listed off 3 places you work that are even in there: North Carolina, New York. That's good. You're not staying in a 15 to 20 mile bubble of where your comfort zone is. You're getting out there, you're meeting people, you're putting the miles on, and that's really good.
Yeah, man. It's if you do a 16-hour round trip, if you truly do that, and you can't say you don't love something, man. I don't know if I'll do that drive for wrestling. I don't know what I wouldn't.
Just get your name out there too. You meet more people, you experience more things, you see people from different markets. Because if you wrestle the same 30 people over and over and over again, you're not really growing. You're just you're becoming complacent.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. Who are some influences and role models? Whether it be in wrestling or just in personal life in general.
When I was watching wrestling, when I first started getting into it when I was a kid, Danielson was my favorite for some reason, which is weird because I was watching him in an era where he was seen as I was a little kid, and he was the one guy on TV who didn't have much of a character, wasn't over the top, and for some reason I just liked him a lot. So ever since, he's been like my number one guy. But in terms of like now, like who I watch for influence, like I said, it's a lot of like Dragon Gate shit, a lot of like junior heavyweights from like Japan and stuff.
Yeah, I gotta watch more Japan stuff. I've been really lacking on that.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know, man. It's like, I don't know. I see like a lot of like guys like Yoshino and like just guys like that. I watched a lot of like Pac from when he was in Dragon Gate. Like a lot of like Ricochet stuff was cool too.
Are you telling Wheeler like, yo, can you just tell Pac to come to the school for a day just so I can like just look at him?
Yeah, for real, right. Yeah. There's a lot of guys like that, and I watch. I mean, I like to wrestle very like a quick junior heavyweight style. So guys like that, I take a lot of influence from. And also,
he's another one too. You look at like his size when he first came into wrestling, and then now he was a scrawny little kid, and then he just jacked up. You know what I mean? Like put the work in.
Yeah. And then I watch a lot of guys like Eddie Kingston, and like Moxley for like selling purposes. I just like watching them just like being like in the zone.
Yeah.
And like, cause I don't know. I think like selling is like kind of like one of my more favorite things to do in wrestling is like, especially as a baby face. Cause I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like wrestling as a heel is cool and it's fun, but I feel like if you're like working as a heel, it's like like everything you do, a lot of it's like very performative.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm a babyface, I'm like firing up and I'm like selling. That's just real.
My favorite seller besides Sean, I'm a Sean guy, is Ziggler. I loved Nick Nemeth now. Like Nemeth is just, his sells are so good. He can sell his ass off. He's amazing. Goals you have set for yourself personally are in the industry going into 2025.
Man, I definitely wrestling on the West Coast this year could be pretty cool.
Nice.
I'll only wrestle on the East Coast, so that would be cool. Like I said, Carolina's the furthest I've gone, so West Coast would be cool.
Ohio has a lot of cool shit going on too.
Oh yeah, they do, yeah. I would say wrestling, like just more shows in general, just like wrestling more matches, just wrestling more in general.
I don't know how your work schedule is, but I'll put out another one. It's kind of like in the same vein as a Sanctuary, where on Fridays they do those like open mic wrestling nights where just whoever shows up and gets booked type deals. I don't know if it's in the same vein as it, but I know 808, I think it's called, in Pittsburgh. On Thursday nights, they just do like, hey, hit them up and show up and maybe get a spot in the show. And they're just very like loose, fun, get the mix on, and then you get to go to Pittsburgh, which is just a fun city to be in. So check those out. I know they're on Thursday nights. I just worked with Toddy, and Toddy was trying to sell it to me, and I was like, man, I wish if I can get out there, I would love it. Like that.
I'll look into that for sure.
Yeah, I love like that. Like what my time in the Sanctuary, that was my favorite part, was those Friday nights. Like it's almost like an open mic where it's just kind of like, hey, come up with your guitar and perform in front of people and get your reps in. And you have no idea who's going to be there or who shows up or who you can talk to or network with. And that was like a Friday night. I wish more places would do that. Like if I had the funds, I would just start like an open mic, like a Friday night, whoever shows up, you can book, we'll figure it out. Crowd shows up, like you just like a pop-up show. You never know who's walking in the door that day. And then like, oh, I get to work this guy. Like that never happened before. Like, I know I like that charm of that. And I wish more places would honestly do it. Cause I love that. Even as a commentator, you couldn't prep. It was just like these two guys, you have 15 minutes with them, just like you have set up a match. You've never met before. You never talked before. And then you just put it on.
Yeah. It'd be fun, man. Yeah. It's like give people a chance. You know?
Yeah. So good times there. But any other goals or hobbies?
Outside of like wrestling, I don't know, man. I mean, like I think I put too much like time and emphasis into this, but I guess you can't. I don't know, maybe too much. I don't know. I try to like when I'm not doing wrestling stuff and I'm just at home to like try to just chill out and like not think about it too much. I don't want it to like overtake my life, I guess. And I don't know. Like I try to take my aspects of my life and like separate them, whether it be like, you know, like wrestling, work, personal, and friends. Like I try to keep them kind of separate. So I guess I would say other goals are just like, you know, just prioritize myself more, not like, you know, keep hurting myself. Not that I'm hurting myself a lot wrestling, but you know, just like I guess.
The little naggers, the nagging injuries.
Yeah.
What are some hobbies or interests you have outside of professional wrestling? So when you're not wrestling, or you're with, like when you said you're going out with your friends, or what are some things you do that cut back or unwind or unplug from wrestling?
I definitely play like games. You know, I do that. I enjoy like video production, editing. That was like what I was gonna get into after high school. I was gonna go to school for film, but I kind of just like decided I wanted to wrestle and do other things instead, so I didn't.
Take your matches and edit them into highlight reels.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So that's like I make videos from like my Instagram, my social media and stuff. So I apply, my video editing, abilities to wrestling.
Who's been doing the catch point videos at the school where it's like those little promo videos where it's almost like the 80s, like, hi, I'm Zenith and I've been wrestling, and like it shows like highlights of them working in the ring and stuff. Like, who's been doing those?
Drew had someone come in to make those.
They're fantastic. They're so fun. Good.
Yeah.
And like you had the promo one where you're kind of in front of the fence and you're like doing an old school style promo.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're fantastic. I think they're super. They just did put out one with Matt Quay where he was like a match-ish type thing. Like, I think they're genius. I think they're super cool. Like, maybe team in whoever does those and sharpen your skills, because it's like you take those into wrestling with you. Like, I think they're great. Catchpoint's a good social media follow. They do a lot of fun things.
Yeah, I'm supposed to film one of those soon, I think.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, they're fun. Yeah,
they're great too. Like, it's a great like as your cover page of a YouTube channel where you can put your highlights or or your Facebook or whatever, just like our pinned thing. Like, it's just like your little promo. Like, sell yourself in 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's really good. Yeah,
I put a lot of effort into like making my highlight videos, because I feel like, no offense, indie wrestlers, but like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of stuff just looks like very thrown together on like CapCut, and it's like, I understand you got to like use what you got, whatever, but I do put a lot of effort into like, making my videos, and especially like in particular to as it pertains to my character, I try to make them a little bit more gritty and darker, and
first thing that tonight is we're not fighting. There's emo music while you're wrestling.
yeah.
So you said you're a gamer. What are you playing currently? What are you into?
I play a lot of like single player shit, because I don't know, I can't be bothered to like get off of work and like get yelled at by 12-year-olds anymore.
Yeah.
So it's mainly just like single player like narrative games. They help me like unwind, and I recently like went through like Red Dead 2 again, and like the God of War games on like the PS5. And
I'm an Xbox guy. I got my mini fridge. I've been playing the new Indiana Jones.
Yeah. I have the Xbox too. Yeah, Drew tried to put me on to Indiana Jones. I haven't played it yet though.
Yeah, I've been streaming it. When I'm not doing the podcast, I've been trying to grow on the streaming, because the way my new job is, I just have too much time in between stuff. So I'm trying to find my love again for like movies and music and make content in that aspect. So yeah, I've been doing. I got the Indiana Jones, and then I like the Mafia game. So and then I know the new one's coming out soon. So I'm trying to replay through those. Is there a franchise you're a fan of, like more than others?
I don't know, man. I love the skate games.
Oh, I can't wait for the new one. It's supposed to be like Fortnite, where it's free and they just keep adding things to it. Like, if you want a new skater, you just pay for a skin. Like, I know people hate on Fortnite, but I love that format. Like, you don't have to buy anything if you don't want to, but if you do, they reward you by keeping the game fresh and new and fun, and the creative of people making their own things. Like, I think it's a great format. I respect Fortnite more than people, I don't think, give enough credit for.
Yeah, I mean,
a skate version of that would be great.
Yeah, I'm making an effort to always like go to training and everything, but the one thing that's going to take me out of it for a little bit probably will be either GTA 6 or Skate 4.
Yeah,
or probably both. Honestly,
yeah.
Sorry about that. You won't see me for like a week.
Yeah. You know what game doesn't get enough love too? People hate on it. I like the AEW game, the Fight Forever.
Dude, it's awesome.
I don't like the way they make you pay for wrestlers. I don't like that. I think the packs are a little too much money, but I'm a No Mercy fan, and I like those quick plug in, get in, play, get out type games. And I think they're so good. Like, there's more people I want in the game. Like, I want to play as Willow and stuff, but I think the AEW Fight Forever does not get enough love.
Yeah. The I don't know. I can't stand the 2K games. They're like too like slow and like sluggish for me. I like the more arcadey games. That's why I like the AEW game. Like, I mean, I think it needs more like content. Like, there's not much to do in the game.
Supposedly they're putting a lot of new stuff out for it this year. That's the rumor. I don't know how true it is.
I do like just the core gameplay itself is like very fun. It's very like, I know they went for the like it's very, easy to play, but it's like hard to like master,
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the gameplay. It's very like snappy, and it's like arcadey, and like it feels like a video game, and not like, dude, like I wrestle in real life. I don't want to work holds and like all this shit in a game. Just let me have fun,
I just want to jump off shit.
Yeah.
I want to throw a canister that blows up at my opponent. Like,
yeah, like I already have to worry about this shit in real life. I don't need to like work holds and like worry about getting blown up.
Yeah. So encouragements for a beginner, if someone's listening to this who's not into pro wrestling, or they're into anything, or they just want to chase their dream. I try to mark everyone I put this, like, I don't listen to your podcast because I don't like wrestling. I'm like, it's not just a wrestling podcast. It's chasing your dream, it's hearing a story. But if anyone is out there, they're trying to think of like, hey, I want to just pursue my dream in something, what is your advice to someone who's starting off?
I would say, like, listen to those who have more experience than you. Like genuinely listen. Like, go into it like kind of blind and just like be a sponge. You know, apply yourself. I know, like, this is all like generic, whatever, but like, it's what helped me. I listened. I applied myself to, and like I said, I think just like being very consistent and like be willing to like sacrifice things. You know what I mean? With wrestling, I've had to like, dude, I would be so much like better financially right now if I wasn't a wrestler. It's like,
amen, brother.
No, but like, if you truly love something and you want to like do it, you just have to, you got to accept that like there's things you're not going to be able to do anymore, and sacrifice shit. And it's just like, it's part of the game, man. You got to love the game,
Yeah.
No question if you love it before you do it, honestly.
When it comes to your personality type, are you more of an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh, I'm definitely more introverted. Be totally honest.
So one of the things I think is really impressive what you're saying so far, especially with your personality trait, because I kind of got that vibe, is when you go to North Carolina, or you go to New York, or you go to these places, are you going by yourself, or do you bring like a car or a buddy or a travel person with you?
Oh, I'm always with like other wrestlers usually that I'm like, okay, on the show.
Yeah, because I now, even when just signing up for the school, did you sign up by yourself, or did you have a friend come with you?
Oh, just by myself. I just took initiative and just went.
How now, getting past that mental block of just like, all right, I'm just gonna show up in a room full of people I don't know and give them my body and almost die here. You know what I mean? Like, how did you overcome that?
Yeah, it just goes back to what I said. If you love something, you'll just make sacrifices. And going into these things, I'm very nervous. I remember like my first day of training, I pull up to a random warehouse in Philadelphia, and I walk in, and it's just me and Wheeler Yuta. And I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, dude, I just was watching you on TV like a week ago. And I'm like, I don't know anything about any of this. Like, and I just go to the bathroom and sitting there thinking like, what? Like, I was just like at my apartment an hour ago, just like living life like normal. Now I'm like with this guy I watch on TV. And like, at the time I just was like, I was very nervous, but like I said, it's just a sacrifice I have to make. Now I'm like, I'm still introverted, but I'm very much more comfortable around like groups of people. And like, and also Catch Point, all these people are my friends now. So it's whatever. I don't feel any way around them anymore. But yeah, it's a mental block I just got over, just like anything else.
Who are some other students at Catch Point that you feel that people should be knowing about and talking about, or seeking out to look up and look at?
I love everyone for different reasons. So if you're
not listed,
I'm sorry.
Dead to him. No.
I love Citywide, Martin and Tom. Those are good friends of mine. Sorry if I'm ruining their internet badass guys.
Yeah.
But I've driven with them a lot and I've talked to them a lot. They're like dudes that are really close to me. Kurt Robinson is like, not only is he a good friend of mine, but he's like trained and helped me a lot with a lot of different wrestling aspects. He's been wrestling for like 10 years. So he's helped me a lot. And like a lot of guys that like, were wrestling before Catch Point, but like they still train there. Like Vinny Talata, he helps me a lot too. Nate Wallace, he's a trainer there. He's like helps me like tremendously, just like understanding like my size, and like how to like wrestle like my size, so I can look good and make the other guys look good. And yeah, like there's so many like talented, like I love wrestling with like Ultimo Ant. He's taught me so much like lucha, like things that I do now. He's tremendously talented. So like there's I can't name everyone, but
yeah, there's a lot of good people. Yeah, no, they're great names. They're great people. Just for people listening, if they wanted to seek out some new people to support, or maybe even if you're in the industry, they're great names for those exact reasons you just said. So the last question here is, what are you grateful for, and are you currently happy?
I'm grateful for wrestling, because without it, I was in a pretty dark place before I started training at Catch Point, and I needed to like just discipline myself and like have something, just anything in my life where I could just like apply myself to this thing and just like take my head out of whatever shitty headspace I was in at the time. I would, I think happy is like I don't know, man, it's a hard question to answer. I would say I'm happier than I was yesterday. I'm doing better than I was I try to do better than I was always doing yesterday. So right now I'm doing pretty well. Was a little bummed out for a little bit because I heard, I couldn't wrestle for the past 2 weeks. I got sick and hurt my knee a little bit, but getting back to training tonight, so that's cool. I have a match next weekend, so I need to get ready for that. And yeah, man, I guess I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right.
I'll throw in one more bonus question because everyone's doing this for 2025. Who's your hit list? Who do you want to work in 2025? Let's speak some names into existence.
Am I gonna do you want to be realistic or just call out Roman Reigns?
No, you could be real. You could put a few out there that maybe. Listen, when I did this last year, I didn't do my interview one yet. I have a few people on my interview list, but I haven't formulated. But the first one I put on the list that I said I want to interview or do something with, and I actually created a whole new format of content called the 5 questions, where it's a lot shorter because I know getting some of these people on an hour-long podcast is just not realistic. But Ultra Manus was my number one goal for 2025, and I nailed it at Mania weekend.
There you go.
You never know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? I even got my vote for Ultra Mantis up here.
Yeah.
But so you could put a few ones out there that may be a little far-fetched, but you never know what's gonna happen.
I would love to wrestle Eddie Kingston. I know he's hurt, and he's hey man, I watch you a lot, and you're an inspiration, and I'd love to wrestle you. I'll say in terms of people that are a little bit more grounded and realistic, I would love to wrestle Travis Huckabee.
That's a choice.
He's been on my mind recently, but
he terrifies me. He chopped me last year. Didn't like it at all. Him and
Max. I had one practice match with him, and it was a lot of fun. He was a Wheeler Yuta assigned his characters, and I was what was I? Well, he told us to pick characters, and I think I was a bird and he was a cat.
So you had to wrestle according to the character.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah,
that's really cool. So you're doing improv classes with pro wrestling.
Yeah, that's just how you learn how to wrestle as a character too. There's going to be times where you're going to go to places and you're not who you are. When I went to Kaiju, I wasn't Rullo. I was
you were a banana.
Yeah. So sometimes you have, and I didn't.
Did you do a spot where someone slipped on you?
No, but so I didn't know what. They told me because they switched my character 3 times, but then costumes weren't available or they were ripped or something. So they just told me I'm this banana, and I'm I don't know what that really entails. So I'm just gonna put my own spin on it, and I just danced a lot.
Yeah.
So, but that stuff like that. Not to go off on a tangent, but yeah, Travis.
No, I like that. I'm into this. Yeah. I would love to see Matt. Was he the cat, right?
He was the cat and I was the bird. Yeah.
Oh my God, Travis Huckabee wrestling as a cat. I wish that was filmed.
I'm ruining everyone's mystique on this podcast.
No, we break it down a little bit here though. But as a fan, I would love to see Travis Huckabee wrestle as a cat. That's amazing.
Yeah. Kurt Robinson's a guy who I wrestle around with him and roll around all the time every time I'm there. But I like when I wrestle him because I just flows. So getting to wrestle him would be cool. Martin Hughes is a guy who's really close to me. We talk a lot. We always talk about doing a singles match one day. So I'm hoping sometime in 2025 we can make that happen. And I think that's possible. I wrestle with him all the time too. So we know each other well. Yeah, I would say those are the guys on Rullo's hit list.
I love that. I like to when wrestling places have seminars and they bring people in to do seminars, and I think one that really stands out to me that a lot of people if they were part of that. I don't wrestle, but I wish I was that day because Jay Lethal showed up at PPW and he chain wrestled everyone for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
every single person who was part of the seminar got to chain wrestle Jay, do a match with Jay Lethal for 10-15 minutes, and he did. Every single person who signed up for that seminar went in the back, toweled off for a second, went and did his meet and greet with the fans, and then went right backstage and helped everyone agent their match, set everything up, and then stood in the promo room and helped everybody with their promos.
That's awesome.
But it's just that. It's sick to me. That's he's a guy that could have just walked in and did the bare minimum and everyone still would have been amazed by it. You know what I mean? Because he's Jay Lethal. But he walked in and he was just so helping of the next generation. And that's why I like a place like Catchpoint and a place Worldwide and all these places in our immediate vicinity, because you never know who's going to walk in the door. You know what I mean? I think the other day at Worldwide, Orange Cassidy just showed up and helped some people. That's a cool aspect about that school as well, where a Wheeler Yuta, if he's not traveling, shows up and helps everybody. You know what I mean? You have that exposure to get people who have been to the top and get to pick their brain and work with them. And that's the beauty of picking a good wrestling school. And I think you definitely did that.
Yeah, I was recently we've had like Nick Gage coming through, and he's just like the sweetest, most like passionate.
Amazing.
I wrestled so we did like a graduation show, and I wrestled Rojas, and I was the heel. And I went to the back after the match, and Nick Gage with like his full like face walks up to me after the match. He's like, man, I want to smack you in the face. You're an asshole, or whatever he said. And I'm like, I was so like perplexed for a second. Like, why? Like, am I okay? Like, what did I do? And he's like, man, you were such a good job of getting people pissed off. And I was like, oh, dude, like you scared me for a second, but like,
yeah, please don't hurt me.
He's a sweetheart. He's the best. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing. But that was, man, I really appreciate your time and coming and hanging out. Where can people find and support you and seek you out?
On Instagram, it's Rullo RUL10 because Rullo was taken, and on Twitter it's Rullo PW. And you can watch me. Just keep up with me there, and I'll post about. I post more on Instagram because Twitter sucks now, and I hate it.
Yeah, it's terrible. Blue Sky's getting good. I like that Blue Sky.
But yeah, Blue Sky is cool. I have an account. I got to post on there more. But yeah. Whenever I wrestle, I usually post about it on there.
Do you got merch pages or anywhere people can buy merch, support you?
No, not yet. But I should. I don't know. I should work on that soon though. I don't know. I get in my head and I'm like, man, who's gonna like want to buy my stuff? But
you never know. I have two. I can't sell a shirt to save my life, but I have 260 designs in case somebody does one day. They got a lot to choose from.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah. It doesn't cost anything to put an online store up. If you need help with it, let me know. I'll help you out.
Yeah. I don't know when this podcast goes up, but on January 10th, I believe, I'm wrestling for like the Super Crazy. They have a title I'm wrestling for. I'm sorry. It's okay. But yeah, I'm Skid Row World Championship, Skid Row Heavyweight Championship, I believe it's called, and I'll be wrestling for that, I believe, on the 10th.
Nice. So they can follow you at that. Is that a promotion you're at a lot?
Recently, yeah.
Cool. There you go. So that one, New Era, some other places that you're always working.
Yeah, I'll be. I believe I'll be in New Era in February.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was a blast having you. Let's touch back in a couple months when you get a little further in your journey, and we'll revisit this and see where you stand.
Yeah, maybe I would have wrestled Eddie Kingston by then. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. If you wrestle Eddie Kingston, I want to be there because I love Eddie. Uncle Eddie is everyone's favorite. I love when people online are like, I don't get Eddie Kingston. Like, then you don't understand.
You don't understand wrestling.
Yeah, he's the realest dude. Like, I feel like he's just authentically him. Like, I love him. I love him to death. He's the best. But that's gonna do it for the ABJ podcast. Please, once again, if you made it this far and you haven't hit subscribe or the thumbs up on YouTube, do so. If you're listening to this in your car, you can leave a little feedback on Spotify or your pod with a 5-star review. Word of mouth essentially is going to help us out so much. We do have a lot of great interviews coming up. If you yourself would like to be a guest on this podcast, please hit me up. We could do these remote, or maybe in the future coming up soon, I can come and meet you somewhere and we can record some stuff as well. I'm always trying to find ways to get people's story out there. So let's collaborate. Let's do some fun things. That's going to do it for the ABJ podcast. We'll see you on the next one. We're out of here.